Well, I finally found time to finish Titans Season 4, which will be its last. Yeah, yeah. Shocking, I know. um, it was more of the same, really. Didn't I mean I think was it a video or an article? It was, I remember someone saying, "This one's actually better. It's too bad it's too late," or something. And I guess at best you could say it's less stupid than the previous season, which was awful. And the sad thing about it was that there was some amount of potential. Most of the cast were all right. I think, given the chance, the guy playing Nightwing probably could have done a good Nightwing. But that was not the point of the show. I don't know what the point of the show was. But anyway, and since this was the last one, it actually kind of more or less comes full circle, as they started out dealing with Trigon and being Raven's demon father and all that stuff. And then the same story happens for a lonely put down milquetoast guy named Sebastian, who turns out to be Brother Blood. He doesn't know it yet, but Brother Blood is one of the earliest villains that I knew of when I was a kid and read a handful of Teen Titans. This would have been when George Perez and Marv Wolfman were doing it. And in actuality, Dick Grayson was still Robin at the time. He hadn't become Nightwing yet. But the Brother Blood story was interesting because a girlfriend of a cyborg who, for whatever reason, was made a member of Doom Patrol and not Titans, but Doom Patrol was the better show, easily. But still... Although they did cross over with Doom Patrol in this, introducing it, and it went off on its own with a different Niles Calder, played by Timothy Dalton. I forget the original actor. And so I kind of thought, oh, are they insinuating there are two different versions of the Doom Patrol and not living in the same universe? And it probably for the best, thinking it's that way. But anyway, they do cross over. The Robot Man, Negative Man, and of course Cyborg meet up with Beast Boy and Starfire as Beast Boy explores the multiverse because he discovers he's an avatar or an elemental connected to the Red, which apparently all animal life is connected to or some such. And when he travels through the Red, he can go to other worlds and whatnot. It wasn't much. I don't see where it amounted to a whole lot. You get I guess a guest appearance by what looked to be, and I don't know much about the Buona Beast character from DC Comics. I know he had that helmet, but I guess this guy was a successor to that one, and he calls himself Freedom Beast. And maybe that is in the comics. I don't really know. But he's sort of this mystic shaman guy, and he was worried about experiments being done on chimpanzees or gorillas or whatever. And, it was all horrible. And they fused the mad scientist into the body of the gorilla, so he dies the same way the gorilla does. And then Beast Boy goes back into the Red, and then that's when he sees the multiverse, and he sees Shazam from the movie, the first one. He sees Grant Gustin's Flash, but it's just footage, again, like Shazam was. More footage from Swamp Thing. So, he's connected to the Green, I guess, but they didn't really go into it. And then he meets Stargirl, and she gets his Stargirl's final appearance. So he falls into her Earth, and then they talk a bit, and then he's back in the Red and gets back home. It was just a waste of an episode. They'll do something similar in the Flash movie, but hopefully they do a better job than that. The rest of it is, oh boy, they feel sorry for Sebastian, and then Raven discovered, we're like siblings. Well, not like siblings. They are. They're half brother and half sister because of Trigon being their daddy. And his mother is this horrible witch. No, actually a witch and horrible. And was just been manipulating him all this time to so that they can get Trigon to cross over back to the Earth. And turns out there's this horn that this guy has to blow. And that'll open the portal. The first time around, it was Raven could get him to come across, but now there's another way, so whatever. And I don't know what other Brother Blood stories they did, if there was this connection and all that, and perhaps there was, and that that's what he shares with Raven. But I only saw what I think was the first story of Brother Blood about Cyborg's girlfriend being a member of that cult and things. I think she got killed too. I can't remember exactly. Been a while. And they infiltrate the cult, but then they get caught and all that. And they fight with Brother Blood, and he seemingly dies in his craft. That Cyborg destroys it. But of course, you know how that goes. There's no body, so of course he came back later. And then they moved on to Raven's evil sister, Blackfire, captured. Not Raven, Starfire's evil sister, and all that stuff. Anyway, but it's been a while, and they've changed it around. And I have never had any interest in the silly cartoons they've done, Teen Titans Go, and all that. But this show, it's one of these things where you just, it's just bad, but there would be these moments, and I said, you could have had something. They did have that Superboy episode that they did introducing their Superboy character, and it was really good. It was almost like a great pilot for a series, and then he had Crypto the dog and all this stuff. And that was, I guess they just didn't have the wherewithal to make use of an animal character. So there was only very few scenes, but it was always good when the dog was in action and he had heat vision, and his super bark could knock people down with the sonic wave. And I mean, come on, you're passing up a great opportunity. Of course, apparently we will see Crypto in the James Gunn version of Superman, and so get something like that. But the rest of us is stupid. And it's one of these things where it, for the most part, well, not the most part, for some scenes it was like, wow, they've got some good production value. And then they would do something stupid that would just show how cheap it really is and stuff. There's the big climax and finale, and it looks like they got a pretty good set for this all this tech that's supposed to open a wormhole and all that, and then there's like pieces of tinfoil flying around. And again, they keep going back to kung fu moves and whatnot. They did the best they could with what they had, and with the thing with Beast Boys, he's supposed to shape change in the other animals, and they briefly do that, but at least they got a tiger in there at one point, and he turned into a bird and stuff like that. But for the most part, he's just kicking and stuff. And then there's a part where he has to pull these giant cables out of the wall to try to shut down this wormhole machine. And I was like, well, turn into a massive gorilla or something so you have the muscle power to do it. And he just doesn't. So it's like, what are you doing? Of course, they went into Tim Drake, and of course, this is the race swap Tim Drake. Okay, he did that, and but the problem was it was supposed to be an Asian Tim Drake, but they decided to cast a black actor because they wanted to capitalize on what they thought was the hot new thing of Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. And so he still had an Asian family, so I guess he was adopted by them. I probably forget the whole details. His mother was Asian, but his father was. But I think that's how they did. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. And then of course he meets Bernard, and they're gay lovers. So they did a lot of that. A gay character is one thing, but when they've been straight for 30 years. Yeah. Anyway, Superboy meets Lex Luthor, and they made a big deal about Lex Luthor would be in the show. Yeah, for one episode, and then he's dead. And the Brother Blood Trigon cult kills him. Makes a snake come out of him or something. I forget how all that happened. And then Superboy, I guess, is traumatized by this, and so he tries to live up to the lineage of Lex. So he shaves his head bald and becomes an asshole, and decides he knows how to deal with this Brother Blood cult. And he makes some moves that kind of work, but he's in it over his head, and it doesn't really work out. But nearly gets killed, but he comes back, and they're back to being a team. Yay! They have almost like a Twilight Zone episode where they go to this town trying to find where the secret horn is in the hopes that they can destroy it. No, they don't. And there's some interest to it, but ultimately it's very quickly done, and then they're out. And then Trigon makes his return. Like, oh no, they've lost. Trigon's back on Earth. It's the end of the world and all this stuff. Nah, Brother Blood just kills him. It was super easy, barely an inconvenience. He just stabs him a couple of times and then pulls his heart out and squeezes the blood out of it and drinks it. So now he has Trigon power. So there you go. Raven had lost her powers. She gets them back. Turns her hair white, so now she wears white clothes all the time. She wears basically a Victoria's Secret lingerie outfit. And then Starfire, the whole thing, there was this prophecy for her to destroy Brother Blood, and ultimately she does. At the end, and the prophecy was that, she would not be who she was. Well, her power kind of changed. Her powers had changed. Her glow turned blue, and then at the end, she got her yellow-red glow. So I guess that was the change, so that she and Dick Grayson can go off and be in love and stuff. But she gets trapped by Brother Blood, and there was an incident where he took over her mind and made her. He needed to use her powers to energize the wormhole machine, and then he just lets her go. So then he ties her up with some cables and stuff, and oh no, I'm stuck. And then Raven has to come try to get her out, and oh no, it's just so badly done. And it's like, well, why didn't you just do that in the first place? If you can control her mind, problem solved. You don't have to worry. And then he doesn't do it to the rest of them. It's too much concentration or some such. But ultimately, the conclusion is the same. They didn't have the budget for a superhero show. Every now and then there'd be something here and there that was sort of okay, but it was really like, even though Superman and Lois looks good, the Stargirl would look good, but this one didn't. And it's more akin to the CW level, where there's no money for this sort of thing, which is why they never should have even attempted a Titans show. They should have done a Nightwing show. And I think this guy could have done that. And you could have cameos of Batman. I don't know if you really need to cast Bruce Wayne, but it would help. But it's primarily a Nightwing show, but that's part of his story. And it was like, there's always the shadow of Batman over Nightwing. And then if you can do that and do it, street level crime solving stuff for him to do, and hope too much, but you follow the examples of Daredevil, and you would have probably a hit show. And as you build upon that, then maybe you could get to a Titans show, because you've made some money and you can afford the necessary effects for characters who have superpowers like Starfire. I mean, at the end they got her flying, whereas in the rest of the series she's just, again, kung fu moves and stuff. That's fine for Nightwing, because that's what he's trained to do. He's just a guy in a suit. But when you've got this, basically space goddess with superpowers, and then she's just kicking people and stuff, it's stupid. She just didn't have the money for it. So they just stand around and talk about their feelings and stuff like that. So there were little elements and things here that were interesting, but all it did was say, what you could have had if only you cared or had the money, and apparently didn't have either. So that's unfortunate. Oh yeah, and Superboy did get to meet Superman, but instead of like seeing a guy in the Superman suit from behind, or like seeing the cape or something, we saw his boots. Yeah. I guess that's all they were allowed to do. I don't know. I would have thought they could have just had Tyler Hoechlin in another version of the Superman suit and just say, oh, look, it's another multiverse version of his Superman, because they've established this a couple of times now. But whatever. So that's it for Titans. It's unfortunate for a variety of reasons, because like I said, the Superboy episode was good, and I think the guy playing Nightwing could have done a fairly decent Nightwing show, which is probably what they should have done, but they didn't.